Tracing lists and loops worksheet number 2 by Mr. Minnick. We have a list, scores, and it has 4 elements, so it has a length of 4. So that having been noted, I'm just going to put the number 4 in here, where it's going to plug in later in exercise 2. The length is 4, but the positions are numbered 0 and up. That's the way lists work. And this first exercise that we have to do, we have to evaluate what print score 0 is. Well, in other words, what prints? Well, score 0 means go to position 0 and pull out the number that's stored there, 89. So it's as if we have print parentheses 89. So that means that 89 prints out, and you know how I like these worksheets? I'm supposed to put the 89 over here. Always using pencil so you can erase scratch work when necessary. Moving on, exercise 2 in red. This is 4, as we've already noted. 4 minus 1 order of operations simplifies to 3. We are inside the square brackets now that we did that subtraction. So it's as if we had print parentheses scores 3. Well, you go to position 3 here of scores, you find that number that's stored there, and that's what prints. Pretty easy. Next exercise, sum equals 0. I'll note that with some like little tracing action here in the center of my worksheet, the scratch work area. Now we have a for loop. The variable I starts at 0 because that's how it works when we have range 4. It starts at 0 always. We go through the loop the first time. The I is currently 0, so you plug a 0 in there, and then you think, what happens next? Well, scores, square brackets, 0 happens next. And what does that mean? That means you go up to scores, you find the position 0, you take the 89 once again, you put the 89 in there where it plugs in 4, and that plus equals means added in to the running total of sum. Well, sum is only at 0, and 89 added to that is 89. You cross this out, that's the way I like it, and now you're finished with the first iteration of the for loop. You now, with your eraser that you're using, you probably want to erase all this, because the job now is to go back up to the top of the loop and go down through it again. But I goes up by 1, because that's how range 4 works. And we now note the current updated value of I is a 1. So it's as if you have a 1 there, which means you come up here and you pull out the element that's in position 1, 92. That 92 is now added in to sum. Hopefully you don't need a calculator for this. 2 plus 9 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus that 8 is 9, plus that 9 is 18. You're left with the number 181. So easy. If you have to use a calculator, that's kind of sad, but it's better than not. It would be better than getting it wrong. Okay, I'm not going to finish this problem. Okay, my Alexa is talking right now. I'm going to tell her to be quiet. Alexa, be quiet. Perfect. Now back to this half-done exercise. To be continued. I is 1, but we still have to go to I equals 2, and I is going to go to 3 eventually, and this number is unknown here. It's going to be in sum. It's going to stop when I is 3. That's what you would circle if you circled on this worksheet, and then some unknown number here. But according to this, you're supposed to write out the sum is, and then whatever the string representation of sum is. So I'm going to fill in part of the answer here for anybody that's watching this worksheet in the future. The sum is prints out eventually, and then to be determined. I'm going to put a question mark here, even though that's not the correct answer. Anybody who copies this in the future is not listening to the video, because really a number should be plugged in there. Whatever sum ends up being when you fully trace and add up those 4 numbers. Okay, continuing with exercise 4, which I may or may not do the whole exercise 4. Exercise 4 in purple here is this area, right here. No, I'm sorry, it's this area right here of the worksheet. So I'm just going to help you a little bit with this. Well, there's okay, so my circle is wrong. It should go up here. Count is 0. I'm just going to call it C for now because I can't draw with a mouse very well. The numbered positions, the subscripts, as they sometimes say, of scores is 0, 1, 2, and 3. The length of scores is a 4, so I'm going to put a 4 in there. And we're checking to see if any number is bigger than 60. And if we do find a number that's bigger than 60, we're adding 1 to count. So visually with my brain, with my human eyeballs, I can go from left to right and use a linear search to see that there are two numbers here, 92 and 75, that are greater than or equal to 60. So the answer is probably going to be 2, and then it concatenates together with passing scores. I'm not going to fill in the complete answer there. The answer I can tell is probably going to be 2 passing scores. Prints out as part of the print statement. But you really should trace it and not do what I just did in my head. You should trace through the for loop to see how the if statement works. I did do a previous video with a worksheet that was just like this if you need help. On this worksheet, I'm purposely not doing everything for you. Of course, you can always make an appointment with me after school to get help. Moving on then to the next block of code, which leads up to question number 5. And I don't see anything really tricky there. We go to len scores, which is 5. I will start at 0, and it will go by ones, and it will stop at 4. It doesn't actually hit the number 5, ... I'm going to put in there. One at a time, we're going to ask if scores I is double equal key. If scores I, if the number 65 is equal to this variable key, what do? Oh, we store the I position number in the variable position. Does anybody know, for possible fame and fortune here, recorded into a YouTube video, why we use -1 as the initial number put in the variable position and not like, say, the number 0 or some other number stored there at the beginning? As John was saying, -1 is a good logical number because you know it's not a legal index position of a list. But eventually, you can see that there is a 75 there in position 1. So eventually that'll be crossed out and turned into a 1. And the 1 will print out as part of the answer. So I'm not going to do the answer for you, but I pretty much outlined what the answer will be. I predicted it. Found in position 1. Let's take a quick look at number 6. Another famous algorithm, sweeping through a list looking for the smallest number. I'm going to do this one partly to show you one of the tricky aspects of this famous algorithm. Interestingly, in this exercise, I'm setting min, the variable min, equal to 100. Not -1 like up here, and not a 0 like way up here. I'm setting min equal to 100 because that's the highest score somebody could possibly have on a test. I probably should have set it to 101, but I'm setting it to a 100, then checking to see if anybody did worse. So let's see. For I in range len scores. So for I equals 1, well, I starts at 0. If scores I is less than min. Well, is 95 less than min? It sure is. So we cross out min and we make it 95, because that's what this line of code here is telling us to do. Then we loop back up to the top. We erase, because we don't use a pen for such worksheets. We erase, and this time, because I is now 1, we check to see if the 99 is less than min. Well, 99 is not less than the current min. It is not less than 95. So nothing happens when this time around the loop. We don't do anything there. So we go back up to the top. We erase everything for another go around. and we ask, is 90 less than 95? It sure is. So 90 gets placed there. Is 88 less than 90? It sure is. Is this 100 less than 88, I meant to say? No, it's not. Then I eventually ... hits the number 5, which it actually stops at 4, and it knows to not go through the loop again. So this is a way with a linear search from left to right, I meant to say, to exhaustively search a list of numbers to find the minimum. But if you had set min equal to 0 at the beginning, 0 would end up being the minimum, even though it's not actually a number in the list. It's easy to forget sometimes to set a variable equal to a high number rather than the natural 0 that some people think. Sometimes you set your expectations high, waiting to be let down by somebody, versus having no expectations and then just being happy that they did something. Two different ways of looking at life, I guess. Okay, I have 1 more minute in this video. Let's look at this one right here. Eyeball it. I'm not doing everything on this worksheet for you. Oh, we have min and max, and one loop is finding both the smallest number and the biggest number. It's a 2-for-1 deal. And 10 is a number higher than all the existing numbers. Yeah, we could have used 100, but 10's enough here. 0 is, we didn't use -1, we used 0. And the answer ends up being a bunch of stuff here. Min equals symbol something concatenated on the same line with the phrase max equals something. You can pretty much eyeball this, but you should trace it with your actual scratch work to really, really understand how computers and iPhones and Android phones and tablets work. Because this is the kind of thing that makes Instagram, Pinterest, and Snapchat do what it does. Have a great day.